I envision, my dream house having like a museum, exhibits of all the interesting projects I've been involved in throughout the years, and this will definitely be one of them.
Yo, you have a face only a meth lab could love. A stepdad could hug, get your chest smashed and crushed. Puff the best wax, pen spazzes.
I think the artwork is equally as important as the actual song when it comes to releasing music. I mean, it's the first thing people see when they're choosing whether or not to click on your song or scroll past it. So, why wouldn't you see that as an opportunity to enhance the theme and just tie the theme together even more, especially when it comes to storytelling songs and songs that have a particular theme. It's like I see the artwork and just visuals in general as an extension of the song, and the song is a narrative. And I think that's important for art to have room for interpretation. No matter how much you put into a project as an artist, it's never going to be received exactly the same way by other people. All you can do as an artist is create it with your own narrative and have your own meaning behind it, and then allow other people to form their own opinions about it. Observer Effect, the artwork for it is pretty clear to me what's going on in it and the actual meaning behind it. It's a leather book with the eye carved in the front and its meaning, but to someone else it might be something completely different. It might mean something else. They might interpret the symbolism of it differently. So, and that's cool. That's the beauty in sharing art with the world. It's not for us once we release it out there. So in this episode, we're going to get into the behind the scenes process of creating the book. And because, I'm not a leather worker, I'm a producer. So there was a lot of interesting twists and turns in this part of the process for me. So there's a lot to talk about, and I'm fucking psyched. Let's get into it.
My bed wrapped in stretched plastic, can't let no blood touch the fresh fabric. Come from a different cloth, drip like a wet.
This is a concept sketch I did of the book and the artwork before I started the actual assembly process. I mean, I do this with all my artworks, especially if there's gonna be a budget with, props and materials, special effects. Just saves me a lot of time and saves me material too, because these things can be expensive to put together. I think I spent like $200 on the physical props and tools, materials needed to make the book. Yeah, as you can see in the sketch too, I had the title of the song written on the book along with our names, kind of like it was the title of the book, but I kind of like the abstract quality of just not having any text, and I ended up just making the book with no text, just the eye on the front, which makes it even more like mysterious. When people click on it, they don't know what they're like, oh, what's this, and I kind of like that. So once I had the idea on paper, it's like, okay, I need to make this leather book. How do we do this? And just like any project, it's like you got your end goal, and then if you just backtrack to the beginning, like, okay, what's the first step here, and then what's next? Thinking about projects like that helps me not get overwhelmed, especially something so outside my comfort zone like this. So my first approach was, let's see if we can find a leather book that's just got a blank cover and somehow engrave the eye into that. So I make some calls to bookstores. I say, hey, I'm doing this arts and crafts project. I'm looking to create a leather book with an eye carved in the front. Do you have any like blank leather books that might work for this? And they just didn't have it. But one of them said, you might be better off creating this yourself. If it's just for an arts and crafts project, it just has to look the part and doesn't have to be super durable, then that's, you could do that. And so I start looking into the materials, leather, wax thread to sew the pages in, the necessary tools to do that. And for the next 4 weeks, I was practicing each step of the process, carving the eye in scrap pieces of leather so I didn't screw up an entire piece of leather, because that would be an expensive mistake. Practicing carving the eye, beveling it, dyeing it carefully without letting colors of dye bleed over into other sections. That was so nerve-wracking.
Jet lagging, I write letters like a test packet.
On the track to get a chick magnet.
Open shop and pop up.
So here's the book. Full disclosure, I mean, like I said, it's fallen apart, but it served its purpose. It held it together as long as I needed. But in the front, there's the eye, right? I carved it. I started by designing a template on the computer, just a basic outline of the shape I would carve into it. And then I pinned that design, I printed it, pinned it against the leather, carved it into the front, and then dyed the different sections. You can even see on the purple, on the iris of it, I painted it in streaks to give it the texture that irises actually have, with the streaks going around the sides and little particles to make it look more natural. But what I was saying about the dye bleeding over, it's like this part of the eye, the whites, is the natural color of the leather. So if the purple had bled over even a little, you'd see it and I would have to start all over again. That was crazy, but thankfully I practiced each step enough before committing to making the whole book, and this is gonna be an awesome keepsake for the rest of my career.
Jet lagging, I write letters like a test packet.
On the track to get a chick magnet.
Open shop and
I also designed the book to be functional for both the artwork and the lyric video. So if you look in the inside of the pages, the lyrics are printed on the pages. I took kind of this off-white colored paper and printed out a hand illustrated version of the eye that I sketched on paper, printed it into the front cover, and then followed up with all the lyrics. Man, this was a whole production. I mean, if it was just the artwork, you'd never even see the inside, and I wouldn't have had to, these could have been blank for all you know, but I wanted to use this for the lyric video too, because this is the central theme. So, but yeah, you know, the book was 99% of the work. For the artwork at that point, it was just putting it on an antique table and taking a picture. But this is going to be a keepsake for me for the rest of my career, even if it's falling apart. I envision, you know, my dream house having like a museum, exhibits of all the interesting projects I've been involved in throughout the years, and this will definitely be one of them.
the Benji stepsister over a brick cabinet. So many drugs I'm mix matching. Parents think that I'm practicing witchcraft in my dim attic.
My pen is Edgar Allan Grim tragic.
That about wraps it up for episode 2. In the next and final episode, we're gonna get into the behind the scenes process of the lyric video. First video I've ever worked on. It was filmed, directed, and edited by me. And by the way, the book appears in there again if you haven't seen it. So can't wait to get into it with you guys. See you in the next episode. Peace.
Push weight like I fist fat. Chicks catch us in a different town. The shit catfish.
Wait, put an asterisk. I buck shots like Black Moon. I blast boom. A couple cadavers in trash bags in back rooms. I'm like the black fume inside of a glass spoon. So ask whom. My back covered in scabs and stab wounds.
Ravenous baboon, Harambe sensei, the gun game explain. Force Morgan Webb to snore some meds. Hentai and chill, hentai. Animated when I made a statement. Inhaling fumes, Sailor Moon. Upskirting perv ho. I'm at the